With all the attention on Vegas and Edmonton, it's really weird to say this, but I don't know if I've ever seen a team from Los Angeles in any sport get more ignored. This is a major market and a very, very good team. The over-under on their points is 101.5. Do you take the over or the under on the Los Angeles Kings this year? Jesse and Steve.
I really like the Kings. I take the under, though. That's a lot of points, man. That's a lot of points for a team with a goalie tandem of who?
We'll get into that. Jesse, what about you?
What do you got? 101 and a half?
Yeah.
I'll take over.
You're going to take over?
On that. Yeah.
Wow!
They had over last season. I don't expect them to take much of a step back.
Well,
I like them so much as a team. Their goaltending.
Yeah. They were bad 24 months ago. So the change has been dizzying. It's hard not to call this team a contender to win the division or even maybe to win the cup, an outside shot. But some things really do need to go right. We will start with, because Steve really wants to talk about it.
Avoid the Oilers.
The goaltending. They were able to get rid of Cal Peterson, although they kind of got rid of him early last year.
Yeah.
And in his place, you have two goalies who a lot of people would consider to be backups. You had Cam Talbot, who has had good years and bad years. And guys, listen, I got shit last year for saying Cam Talbot wasn't going to have a good year. He didn't. The consensus is that his best years are behind him.
He was hurt.
And yeah, but he did, he had a not great .898 save percentage in Ottawa, played a significant amount of games.
How old is he?
He's in his mid-30s.
Cam Talbot's 36.
36.
Yeah. Then you got Phoenix Copley, late bloomer, someone who hadn't played more than 27 games in a season until last year when he started 35. He won 24 of those games.
Wow.
Steve, I think I know the answer to this. So, Jesse, I'll start with you. Is that combo good enough to support a very good Los Angeles Kings team?
100%. Yeah, 100%. Like,
Why?
if I told you coming into the season, hey, Logan Thompson and Aiden Hill are going to step up and carry a team to the Stanley Cup
it wasn't even
victory.
Logan Thompson. The guy got hurt.
Yeah, but like that's who they ran with starting the regular season.
Right.
They had Logan Thompson. That was their starter to
It ended
begin
up
with.
being Brossois.
Right? And
I would have said, like, oh, yeah, they'll be out in like 5 or 6.
yeah, that's your trio: Brossois, Thompson, and Aiden Hill. And then you end up winning the Stanley Cup. That's fine. I feel like Phoenix Copley, Cam Talbot, Dave Rittich, and whoever else you want to bring in off the waiver wire.
Save Dave.
I feel like that's enough. Like, you'll find some goaltending in there. Just keep throwing shit at the wall and you'll find goaltending in there.
I think it's a fine tandem to get through the season, but I think they're just going to be looking to do exactly what they did last year, which was look for a goaltender.
It does make you wonder if the Winnipeg Jets falter. If that rumored Connor Hellebuck to Los Angeles deal finally happens.
And the beautiful thing about these two deals is that they left themselves room to do it. They're only 1.5 for Phoenix Copley, $1 million for Cam Talbot. They're both UFAs at the end of this year. If they want to go get a long-term goalie in Connor Hellebuck, they have the room on their roster to do it. Nobody's locked up.
Extremely movable contracts, yeah.
Now, we do need to talk about their big acquisition. There were a couple this year, but the biggest one was Pierre-Luc Dubois. What does he do to a team that's already featured Danault and Kopitar at your top two?
He gives them the best center depth in the league. Maybe not at the high end. I mean, that would certainly be
McDavid, Draisaitl.
Oh, I was going to say Nylander, Tavares.
Oh,
no, I'm joking. No,
definitely not McKinnon, though, right, producer Drew?
Yeah,
No.
No, they're ridiculous. Kopitar, Danault, Dubois, Byfield, if you really wanted to, but they're having him play the wing.
I want to talk about him later, so don't go too far.
Yeah, they have a kind of interesting combo of experience and youth. They did get rid of some of their depth throughout the lineup in that Dubois trade, but they added high end, which is actually kind of something they've lacked.
Right. And they do have some really good depth. You look at the Trevor Moore, Phil Danault, Victor Arvidsson line. Oh, that'll be fun to play against.
It's just so annoying.
Yeah. And by the way, good for Trevor Moore getting that big contract.
Absolutely.
The forward group is so deep.
It is.
Like, they are extremely well-balanced, and well-balanced teams thrive in the National Hockey League.
Arthur Kaliev being in the top 6 after being rumored in like every Dubois trade over the summer is a pretty huge. Actually, having him on the same line as Dubois is a pretty huge victory for the Kings.
Do we get to talk about the most exciting part of the depth now?
What?
Carl Grunstrom.
Quentin Byfield to the wing.
Oh,
like,
first line.
I think for me, that's the most exciting part of the LA Kings this year, is seeing how Quentin Byfield can discover the new next level of his game. throwing him onto the wing now. Because they have these three great centers, you have a centerman who can now take advantage of becoming a winger. And just if you're a centerman, you have this extra amount of talent, and now that he's on the wing, hopefully his game can mature in this next level.
You know, I told these guys to hold off on the Quentin Byfield talk until later, but you know what? Keep going.
I think this is the time to talk about. We're talking about
it's not.
the
I
forward
wanted to go
depth
to a different
of the LA Kings.
Blake Lizotte.
So let's talk about this then. Two names: Brant Clark and Jordan Spence. These are two young
Quentin
defensemen.
Byfield.
There's not and Quentin Byfield. These are two guys that are also in the young and sort of overlooked conversation, unless you're an LA King fan. The LA Kings defense doesn't have a single person on it over the age of 30, except for Drew Doughty. But Brant Clark is their star in the waiting, and Jordan Spence, who finished 11th in AHL defense scoring last year, despite playing like 20 games less than the point leaders.
Jordan Spence, born in
No idea.
New South Wales, Australia.
Well, there you go.
I thought you were going to say Alaska.
Yeah.
Who's
No.
the person who's
Phoenix
Christmas?
Copley from North Pole, Alaska.
There it is. What are those guys? What are you looking for from those guys playing with a lot of veteran talent, but not overly old veteran talent? Again, look at the defense up on the screen there, and hold Gavrikov because we're going to talk about him next.
Yeah, well, I said what I said. They have great depth, but I think they do lack a little bit in the high end. Brant Clark's got a lot of hype there. Come in and be a high-end player. You're going to be sheltered. They have enough guys that they don't need to completely throw you to the wolves. I'm really excited to see what he can do. He's got to be a big part of this team.
2-year deal for Vladislav Gavrikov. Pretty solid price for him because he wants to go even bigger when the cap goes up. He joins that young defense. What does he bring to LA's defense, and what do you need to see from him for them to be successful?
Proof that he is a $5 million defenseman.
Are you not a believer?
I know people think I'm nuts, and I know we've been a little bit hard on him, but it felt like a little bit. Maybe I'm wrong.
He's fine.
Like there's some hype there because there was
hype
was
there
the guy that
because
was available.
There was hype there because there weren't a lot of guys available, and he made less than $3 million. Like, that's it. He's fine. He's fine. But that is a lot of money taken up when, I don't know, everyone's got to kind of pull their weight. We've seen teams kind of not achieve the success they want when guys aren't necessarily pulling their weight under a big contract. And it's not a huge one, and it's only 2 years. If they had to move it, I'm sure they could.
But he's stepping in, and you think
they
he's going to
want
play probably with Drew Doughty.
Yeah. No, I think, he's got to be really good so that they can do exactly what I just talked about, which is shelter a guy like Brant Clark.
Right.
For example. He might play a little bit of both sides, might add a little versatility there, so that can be good. But again, this team is kind of going to thrive on their center depth rather
Jesse,
than their D.
what are your thoughts on the Gavrikov ad?
I don't think $5.8 million is the same as how we look at $5.8 million. To me, it's an okay deal. Like, it's a little more expensive than we think, but
It's not going to kill you.
it's fine. They have the room to do it with Brant Clark making the lineup and being under $900,000. Like, they have the room to spend a little, maybe $1 million extra on Gavrikov, which I think is okay.
And by the way, next year when the cap is 6 or 7% higher, it may not even. It's such a non-factor, right?
Very true.
Okay, so
I'm mad, by the way.
why?
They have a goalie on a PTO that we didn't mention.
Who's that?
Noted Alan Wall's client, JF Berube.
Oh, okay, all right.
How dare you?
Do you think he can beat out Big Save David?
Yeah, actually.
You do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, so the Los Angeles Kings are an enigma. Potentially the best center depth in the league outside of Edmonton, and definitely not Colorado. Boo hiss. What do we think about where they're going to finish this year, guys? In this division, it's a tough division.
Ugh. I really, really like this division. I think is maybe the hardest to do in the league.
I think so.
Actually,
Yeah.
like really underratedly, they have haves and have-nots. Like the line is, it's really sharp, but I don't think there's a ton between the halves. I have the Kings 4th in this division.
That hurts you.
It hurt me because I think is going to come across as an insult. I think this division has 5 teams that could crack the Final Four.
They're killer.
Which doesn't work. I'm not a math whiz, but I know that doesn't work.
I think they're probably the new strongest division in the league. Jesse,
Might be right.
Jesse, what do you have LA at?
I won't spend as much time on this as Steve. I got them third.
I also have them third. Okay, so we'll see where the Los Angeles Kings are at the end of the year. I still feel like there's a Connor Hellebuck trade to be made there. I really, really do.
It just makes so much sense.
He said before the preseason, I'm going to win a cup, whether it's here or it's somewhere else. I'm going to win it.
There's no way they didn't discuss it when they were doing the Dubois trade.
Had to, and I wonder if the pieces are there. So we'll see. The LA Kings.